Airglue Media and the Cantina Cast are proud to present Mando Monday. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Mando Monday, the last episode of Mando Monday. Sadly, time flew, I guess, or did it take a while? I don't know. What do you guys think? Seems like it took a while to get through this season, which is not a bad thing. Anyway, I'm your host, Mike, of course, and this is Chapter 8, Redemption. Now, normally I do a little cleanup before of the last episode at the top of the show, but today I'm just going to say we got good news and bad news. The good news is that in fall of 2020, Season 2 of The Mandalorian is coming to Disney+. The sad news is it's the fall of 2020, and that's like 10 or so months away, and that's far too long, if you ask me. But, you know, this episode was pretty darn good, so let's get into the good, the bad, and the ugly. I got a lot of good. So I'll just go through my little bullet points here of what I liked. Now, the opening was pure comedy gold, if you ask me. I thought it was brilliant. I don't know why everyone's, all up and on. Well, I know why they are. But anyway, the other thing I like is the conflict of me liking the troopers and hating them at the same time. Obviously, the biker scouts are part of the Empire or the remnants of the Empire, and they're the bad guys. They do bad things. So naturally, I'm not going to like them, right? So, but they're funny, and it was nice to see the mundane day-to-day for the troopers and what it's like and stuff like that. Now, I know people are mad because they were hitting Baby Yoda, and people got to get over it. First off, it's called acting. This is not real. Baby Yoda, sadly, is not a real creature. And, stop it. It's a Muppet, for God's sakes. They're not really hitting anybody, so stop getting all up in arms over this. And you're supposed to hate these guys. If they didn't do the punching thing, you would have sat there and saw them, acting the way they were, and you kind of liked them, and then IG comes along and kills them, and then you're going to feel bad about that. So it's a no-win situation. But anyway, I thought that was great. I loved that opening. That was really good. IG-11, of course, steals this episode again. Whenever he's on, he steals the episode. Sadly, he died, kind of like Terminator there. The action was great. There's no complaints there. The action was top-notch. Probably, I don't know. I don't know if it's the best act. I don't know, because Chapter 3 was really good. But, overall, the action of this whole season was really, really good. So, I can't complain. I don't know where I rank these things, but I guess this is probably the best episode. If I had to rank them, this would be the best, I think. I don't know. What do you guys think? What's your best and what's your least favorite episodes or chapters of this season? Moff Gideon, I thought, is a great bad guy. I really enjoyed the way he was introduced and the way he talked to our group there. I thought that was really great. Again, the other thing that I loved is Cara Dune and the Mando's partnership. It's a beautiful thing. I love Cara being loyal. I just love their dynamic, and even with Griff as well. I'll mention him here. He joining the group has been great too, which is funny because me, I've said over the season here that I do not want them to have a buddy type of show where they all kind of come together, and they are staying away from that, but more on that later. Baby Yoda and IG-11 on the speeder was great. I enjoyed Baby Yoda doing the little laugh. That was great. And then, of course, the comedy with Griff, with the baby Yoda do the hand thing. That was great. That was probably my favorite funny moment, I think. The comedy, I think, has been nailed pretty well in this season. It's very Star Wars-like. So I definitely like that. Also, we have two World War II references in this whole thing. And I'll get to the other one in a minute. But Mando was doing the John Basilone thing with the E-Web, shooting all the other troopers there. So that was pretty cool. It was good to see him kind of a callback to what Chapter 2 was, where he was, shooting all the other bad guys. Or were they bad guys? Or were they Republic? I don't know. We don't know. The places, the other thing I liked is the places this is going in Season 2 with the story. I mean, there's so many things that have branched out just from this season. It's crazy. Baby Yoda, or the child using the Force again, was great to save the group. And again, as I said, the magic hands thing was pretty cool. Now, not everything was gold, if you will, because there were some issues. One of them being the baby Yoda being carried into season 2. I thought we should wrap this up for season 1, but I'm not complaining because I think it's a good way they could do it for season 2. So they're stretching it out longer than I would like, but I'm okay with it for now. I just worry that this is going to become a gimmick at some point. You know what I mean? So that's my worry with it. And the other thing is, this is the bad, by the way. I'm on the bad. The E-Web, why didn't they just shoot when they set it up and they were all there? Why didn't Cara Dune or the Mando or Grief just shoot at the power supply or whatever and just blow it up and they wouldn't have this problem? And then the other thing was, how was the Mando's brain damaged or head? I don't understand. Sure, his head, he fell back and he hit his head. He had his helmet on, but that's the purpose of the helmet. These are kind of nitpick things. So let's see what else I got. If Gideon wanted the child alive, then why did he send the flame trooper in there to burn the whole place down? Maybe he knew the child would just use the Force, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe at that point he said, you know what, we'll just end it all here and we'll move on, and whatever's left we'll kind of extract from Baby Yoda or something, his DNA or his midi-chlorians or whatever it may be. I don't know. It's one of those things some of the things in this episode you have to suspend your imagination. Well, actually, the whole series, really. Star Wars in general, you got to suspend your imagination a little. The ugly is really only one thing for me, and that was the editing. There was a moment where at the end when they're coming out to what's his face? To Gideon was coming at them with the TIE fighter. One moment you see the Mando puts the jetpack on, the rocket pack, and then it cuts to Gideon. Then it cuts back to Cara Dune ready to shoot, and you see the Mando holding it, and then you cut to Gideon again, and then you cut to the Mando where he's ready to take off. That was the only real editing mistake, and it's hard to see, but it stuck out for me. I don't know, because I think most of the season's been pretty good with editing. This is the first time I saw like an editing mistake like that. There may be more. I don't know. There's usually editing flubs, when you do a show and stuff. So I'm not sure. But anyway, let's get into the Mandalorian lore and Easter eggs. I'm not really going to get into a lot of the Easter eggs because, there's a lot of them out there, and I can't cover all of them, so we're just going to get into this. So the first thing I have is Apollo Creed reference. I thought that was great because he says it to, obviously, Grief there. And so the Mandalorian isn't a race, it's a creed, so which is interesting, and we kind of suspected that anyway because that's just kind of what we thought, because the Mandalorians get the foundlings and all that other stuff. The songs of the Siege of Mandalore. This is another mystery thing that I hope we get answers in the Clone Wars, I think, or maybe even after with the Rebels. I'm not sure. This is where I get confused with the Siege of Mandalore and then the Purge. It's a bit confusing. I understand. I think the Purge is around Rebels after that, and then we get the Siege is obviously the Clone Wars, I think. So I'm not sure. A little confusing for me, but maybe if I watch it when I binge watch it, it'll all make sense a little bit. Now this is our second World War II reference, and I got to give the New Rock Stars, which is a YouTube channel that does breakdowns of Mandalorian, and it's funny because last night when I was doing my show notes, they kind of came up with the same thing when they did their thing. They mentioned what the heck is it called? The Night of 1,000 Tears, which was also the Night of Broken Glass, or Crystal Night, as they referenced in Germany, in Nazi Germany, because they broke all the glass that was in the shops of the Jewish owners there, and it was all over so they called it Crystal Night. So that was kind of it made me think of the same thing, and them as well. They thought of the same thing as well. So that was 2 World War II references in this one episode. And then I got to admit that I was wrong about the Mando getting saved, or Din Djarin getting saved by Ahsoka or Obi-Wan or Yoda or anything like that, because it was Death Watch that saved the boy. And I think that it made more sense. And of course, as you're going through the episode, it's making more sense that they would do that. So, and of course, then we got the Grand Moff Gideon was an ISB agent during the Purge. So that's interesting. It ties into Rebels as well, and there's a lot of mystery with that too. With Gideon now, like he's got a lot of backstory I want to know as well. The Mythosaur pendant, which was handed to Cara Dune for the child to give to the armorer and all the Mandalorians to help out save the child, and of course he gives it to him at the end there. Let's see. Some of the Mandos were killed when they revealed themselves, and some of them went escaped, hopefully off-world. So there's going to be something interesting there. I wonder how that's going to happen with Din. Like if Din meets up with Paz from Death Watch, how's that going to play out? Like they kind of, sacrificed themselves for him, and then he went off and didn't even realize what happened. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. If Paz will come back, and I imagine that they will come back, the Paz and some of the Death Watch people. So, and it's interesting because he was saved by Death Watch, but yet he had with Paz, he had a bit of a tension relationship. So I'm wondering how that is, why that is. But anyway, the armorer was recycling the Beskar, which I thought was pretty good and clever of her. And finally, the Mandalorian earns his signet, finally, the Skull of the Mudhorn, which we laughed. Albert and I laughed. We said, well, maybe he didn't want that, and he ended up getting that. And it's actually cool. It doesn't look as bad as I thought it would look. So that was pretty cool. Now, the big one was the armor telling the songs of the 8 eons past with battle between the Mandalore the Great, and the Order of Sorcerers called the Jedi, which sets up a lot of things coming up. But here's where I'm confused. You would think Din and the Mandalorians would have heard about these great battles, or was the purge so bad that a lot of the people that did know about it get killed, and that's why the Jedi aren't well known here? I don't know. I'm curious about how all that goes. And of course, now the Mando and the child are a clan of 2, which is pretty cool. Then we got mentioned the Rising of the Phoenix, which is obviously a clan that uses the jetpacks, and this is where he learned how to do his jetpack. Let's see. And we also learned that he's got to do drills, and that the jetpack has to almost like bind with him, like technology wise, like it reads him somehow, which is interesting. I've always wondered how that all worked out with Boba Fett and everything. How do the packs work and stuff? So, it's good that we had some kind of it's like a symbiotic. I'm assuming, I could be wrong. So if you guys think I'm completely wrong here, let me know, which you normally do in Discord anyway. All right. Now the big moment here was the dark saber. Now, I took my daughter to see The Rise of Skywalker Thursday morning. So we went and saw that, and then at the end, she saw Rey's saber and immediately thought of Basila Shan. I didn't even think of that. So she's been researching on her own because she got a computer for Christmas. So she's been researching Basila's lightsaber and the crystal and everything. So she's getting ready to take over the Cantina cast, I guess. I'm joking, by the way. I think. So she was all blown away by that. Like that was a big moment for her, one of the big moments for her. I mentioned the other big moment on the recent episode of the Cantina Cast, which is out now, so you should go listen to that. But here, the Darksaber came out, and she just lost her mind because obviously she's a big Clone Wars fan. If you heard me on the Cantina Cast, mentioned many times, Clone Wars is like her jam. And to see that live action, she just lost her mind and was now she's researching all of the Darksaber and all this stuff. So it's pretty interesting. This opens up a lot of questions, obviously, and I'll get to that in the speculation stuff in a moment. But for me, the Darksaber, I wasn't expecting that. Now, I know they hinted it when they were mentioned in the Mandalore the Great and the Jedi and all that stuff. It was kind of a foreshadowing or a hint of like, hey, you're probably going to see this. So when he first ignites the saber, I had a feeling he was alive. The show is predictable at times, but they do it in a way that's so well that you don't mind. Like, it's okay. Like, okay, I'm glad you went there, and it's predictable, but it made sense, and I like it. So it works out well. That's another thing added to the good. But when he ignited it, I'm like, oh, did he get a saber? Is it Vader's saber? I'm just thinking maybe he got a hold of Vader's saber. Of course, you got the whole Acolytes thing and the Aftermath thing. So I'm trying to piece that together. And then all of a sudden I see the black blade, and then I lost my mind. So again, it was amazingly done. I think Dave and John and Takeda, I can't say his name, Takeda. Well, God. Oh, so someone will get mad at me for saying his name wrong again. So anyway, my mouth isn't syncing up with my brain. So anyway, moving on. Like I said, there's more Easter eggs that I'm not going to mention here. So it's just too much to get into. All right, so let's get into the character intel. We got Mando, a.k.a. I can't talk, man. I'm sorry, everybody. Din Djarin, which was fine. We kind of knew that before I played a clip already. No big deal. I didn't have a problem with the name. It was funny. It was kind of anticlimactic when they said it on the show. It was like, okay. I think Kara's name was more of a big reveal than anything else. And then we see the man behind the mask, and it didn't do much for me. I was like, okay, yeah, I know. That's Pedro Pascal. We kind of knew that already. So it wasn't a big thing for me. So with the character intel, didn't get too much with him. hatred for the droid seems to have softened up, or is it more of it softens up because he had a partnership with this droid and started caring for him because the droid was working with him and was part of the team. So, it wasn't too bad. I think that was good. I'm still confused on the whole I hate the droids, I like the droids type thing. But maybe we'll resolve that as season 2 comes, and I get more coming on with Mando anyway. I'll explain at the end of the show. The other thing I found it was kind of an interesting Easter egg is when he took the helmet off. Yeah, IG took the helmet off. You hear that little hiss that you hear with Darth Vader when he takes his helmet on and off. All right, let's get into Cara. Cara, we learn her full name is Cara Cynthia Dune of Alderaan, which was interesting. Of course, Moff Gideon, so careful with his words, mentioned vaporized, which obviously Alderaan was. So that was pretty interesting, and I think that's fascinating that she's from Alderaan, that she survived, which we always suspected there were other survivors. Obviously, there was one in the comic with Leia. I think she was a X-wing pilot, if I remember. And then we got Greef, who was a magistrate at one time. And I also loved, and this was very me if I was in that situation where he was taking a drink of whatever I can't remember the blue drink there where he was drinking. So that was pretty fun. So that's all I got for that. Now let's get into the big stuff, which is the speculation. So now next season, we got a lot of stories that we got to hit, or at least start to build upon in season 2, which is fascinating because 2 things that I'm really looking forward to, in Star Wars is obviously post Return of the Jedi stuff, and that's where this takes place. But even post sequel trilogy stuff, as much as I do not like the sequel trilogy, there was some interesting setup for going on in the future. So it's an interesting time with speculation, if you will, or wandering about things with Star Wars. And one of the things is the Darksaber, all right? That's the big monkey in the room when it comes to the Mandalorian. You thought Baby Yoda was the big thing, but no, apparently it's the Darksaber. Where in the blazes did Gideon get it? What happened to Bo? Did Bo get killed, or did he somehow get it and Bo survived? So I don't know. I mean, it's crazy where they could go with this. So I'm hoping we'll see Bo or Sabine or something. There's another avenue they can go with all this. So I'm gonna have to pay attention to the spoilers on Reddit and everything else, like everybody else, and see what's gonna go on in season 2. Although they kept things pretty quiet in season 1 with Baby Yoda, we didn't find out about that. So the other thing is Gideon. This made me think, like when I saw Cara and Griff taking off in the sunset there and the Mando taking off, and then you see Gideon standing up on top of the TIE fighter with the saber. I'm like, all right, where's Gideon going? Is he going to go after Cara and Grief and, wreak havoc on them? Or is he going to go and take off and kind of, regroup or something like that? So, and they're on the same planet. So, I don't know. So what happens with Greef and Cara? They're on Navarro. What's going to happen? Are they going to reestablish the guild? What are they going to do? I'm not sure. So I'm curious why Cara would decide to stay there. So anyway, so what's going to happen in season 2? We got finding Baby Yoda's homeworld or his species. Does this take us to maybe Ahsoka? Maybe a de-age Mark Hamill Luke Skywalker or CGI Luke Skywalker? Because that would be interesting. I don't know if they would do that because I think they want to get away from the Skywalkers, as someone mentioned in Discord the other day, and I can't remember who said that, but that's a good point. Or is it Ezra? Because Ezra's out in the outer reaches of the unknown regions, and who the heck knows what he came across? And maybe that's where Baby Yoda's planet is, and maybe they meet up with him and they bring him there. So I don't know. I would like the de-age Mark Hamill thing, but that's wishful thinking and fan service on my part. Again, we got the Darksaber. We got to find out about that. Bo, the Purge. Does Mando get the saber? And, where are we going from there? And then, of course, the mysterious man at the end of Chapter 5 had to be Boba Fett. And will that get resolved at some point? Or is that just a little Easter egg for us, like I said, and think in Chapter 5 when I was talking about it, that this is all we're going to get, a hint that he's alive, and maybe we'll see him somewhere else, which I think is the best thing because, as I said, there's, go to listen to Chapter 5 on why I think it's a bad idea to bring him into the show or whatever. So, and then, of course, we get the gang in the private ship, in the prison ship, excuse me. They coming back? What are they doing? Are they going to be involved somehow? I imagine they're going to come back. There's a lot of little ends that we need to revisit in season 2, and I'm very excited. So that is going to do it for this episode. hopefully it wasn't too boring for you. But anyway, I tried to get through as much as I could, as quick as I could. So, all right. So here we go. We're going into season 2. This season for Mando Monday is all over, which is sad. However, I do plan on doing a character dissection of season 1, The Mandalorian, or Din Djarin, at least season 1, kind of see what we learn, flush that out a little bit more and go from there. And of course, then I'm going to do a complete breakdown of season 1, what my complete thoughts on the season is and everything. I have an idea for guests to join me for that, but I don't know if it'll work out with scheduling and everything else. So I'll figure that out. But it's probably going to be sometime in February if I had to guess that I do that. The other thing I want to know is, should this Mando Monday be its own podcast on its own feed, or should I continue to just stay on the Cantina Cast feed? So let me know about that. With that, that's the end of season 1. I will see you guys, I don't know, in a month or so, and we can go back to Din Djarin and all that stuff and check that stuff out. So, fun times are ahead. I hope you guys enjoyed season 1 as much as I did, and I will catch you guys later. This podcast is not endorsed or affiliated with Lucasfilm, Star Wars, Disney, or Disney Plus, and is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. All names, sound, music, and any other copyrighted material are held by their respective trademarks and copyright holders in the U.S. and abroad. I have spoken.